Hey, what's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another episode. It is me, Sig, and it's just myself today. Rago will not be on this episode. Again, we record every Tuesday night, and depending upon how many episodes we get done, um, we may be pushing out some more. It's kind of hit and miss here and there, but we also wanted to do more game reviews, and since I have more free time, and a lot of the games that have been coming out as of late um, are more my fancy games that I prefer, or games that I truly like compared to like Roggle. We have different tastes in games clearly, so he'll be doing video game reviews as well when there's a game that comes out for that suits his preferences. But like last week, where we talked about the beta release and beta edition of Skull and Bones by Ubisoft, we are coming at you this week for the review of Starfield by Bethesda. Now, if you're not familiar with who Bethesda is a game studio that is most notably known for the Elder Scrolls franchise and the Fallout series franchise. So these are massive RPG games that have kind of set the world for this type of games, the genre of games. And there's a lot to this game. There's a lot out there, and it's only been out for a week. So here's how we're gonna kind of do this episode. Is I'm going to give my honest opinion. I've been playing it now for a week. I've played it several hours each day for the last week. So I'm going to give my opinion on it, and then we're also going to be reviewing kind of, or not reviewing. We're going to be giving the common reviews seen through like Steam or the Xbox app, or even just simply going on Google and searching the reviews. And then we're just kind of giving an overall perspective from a developer side, professional side of the house. So again, take this all with a grain of salt. It's my opinion. It's the opinion of others. This is not definitive by anybody's case. Of course, it's all opinionated. I can't say that enough simply because I know there's always going to be someone out there who's going to be like, you didn't understand the juxtaposition of, no, fuck off. I don't care. Okay. I play games for a reason. I love gaming, and I'm also a developer, not for games, unfortunately, but I understand coding structure and all that. So with that said, let's get after this, all right? Again, we are reviewing the latest Bethesda game, Starfield, which came out September 5th. And this game has been in the making for quite some time. And as of this recording, it is a Xbox exclusive, meaning it will not come to PlayStation at all. And likely never will come to PlayStation at all either. You can go Google it yourself if you want, but it's not launching on PlayStation, and there's no intent on going to PlayStation, as now this is owned. Bethesda's owned by Microsoft. So with that out of the way, let's get into it. So starting off, my opinion, my perspective on all this after playing this for a solid week is overall, the game itself is not a bad game. It's not. It's a good game. It can be fun at times. It can be incredibly difficult at a lot of times. And I played the game on normal difficulty. You have 5. You can do really easy, normal, hard, really hard. So I did the middle of the road route, because that is the best way to kind of judge and review a game, is to play on the medium difficulty and see how everything plays out, how the storyline plays out, the plots and all that, and just see how it handles. Because if you play super easy, the enemies seem to be super easy, hence its mode name. So it's not a good perspective to play on if you're looking to play a game and testing out. Always play on normal. If you're looking purely for story aspect of it and nothing else, you just want to know how the story plays out, absolutely play on super easy, and then jack the difficulty up later on. So again, I played on normal, so wasn't hard, wasn't easy, just normal of the road. And I can tell you, normal of the road was fucking hard still. I struggled a lot with enemies. Enemies were always at minimum one level higher than me, which, isn't a bad thing. That made it challenging and made me be very strategic. At the same time, finding weapons was very easy. No matter who I eliminated, who we took down, no matter where I was always able to find weapons. However, finding ammunition for that weapon is a whole nother story. It did not drop as easily. It was not a common loot by any means. It was quite weird to a degree, as I couldn't rely on a specific type of enemy to drop specific loot. Even if they were holding the weapon that I was holding, they may not even carry that loot on them, which for me felt very, very like poor decision making on Bethesda's part. Because traditionally, if you're carrying, let's say, an LMG type weapon, a light machine gun weapon, and the ammunition is light machine gun weapon for easy comparison, that's what the enemy should carry, is the LMG plus the ammo that correlates with the LMG. However, I would find enemies, purely for example, that would carry the LMG but then would have like pistol ammo on them, or carry an LMG and they would have assault rifle on. Like, nothing correlated 100% of the time. Which one or two, fine, that's okay. I get it. It makes a little bit of sense. But small little things like that became very tedious and very annoying. Um, then there was like the combat system, on ground combat system it worked. It was really good. I liked it. I couldn't go prone, meaning on my belly. I couldn't like crouch. Again, not needed. Nuisance for me, not needed though. So I wasn't upset, wasn't, you know, mad by any means. Also wasn't happy about it. But the fighting system was very easy to shoot and loot, no problem. Find strategic points where I could get to cover and reload my weapon. Your health. There's three things to take in perspective when you're in a combat, which was your weapon ammunition being one, your health being probably honestly the most important too, and then your oxygen level. I'll talk more about the oxygen level in general here in a bit. But all three of those took place when you were in combat, so it made it very strategically challenged. Where if you're used to any type of shooter, you're used to like, oh, I can go in, I can pop off a couple, and I should take equal damage. No, that same weapon you had felt like you took more damage than they took. Again, higher difficulty, so that does come into effect. But then also healing yourself was a bit tedious because you could auto heal yourself with the push of a button. Again, I'm playing on PC, but my default button was a 0 button, and that would heal me. The only thing that would heal me though would be like a med pack. Even though you have all this loot that you picked up that would say +2 health, +1 health, +4 health, +5 health, or whatever it was, was not ever possible. Again, for me on PC, was never able possible for me to have that reroute to my zeros where I can just spam my 0 button and heal. Only med packs were set to 0. So if I was in the middle of a fight, I used my whopping 2 med packs, which again weren't easy to find, but they weren't hard to find either. It was hit and miss depending on the planet and the location on the planet you were at. But overall, finding med packs average. Like, it wasn't hard, it wasn't easy by any means. But then at the same time, if I was like out of med packs, I had literally had to go to my inventory screen, go to my aid section, and then literally just spam my left click on my mouse to consume anything that gave me health. And it was so minuscule. Again, the items could range from a +1 to I think +10, +15 was the highest I could find. Again, that I could find, I'm sure there's probably higher, but you had to spam that and you had to watch your health slowly go up, which in combat you can't really do. It does not. It's not efficient to do that. So the combat system overall, I would solely because of that health aspect and the ammunition correlation with the weaponry that the enemy was carrying. Honestly, I'd call it mid. I'd call it average at best, a 5 out of 10 type. Not spectacular, but also not complete shit. It was just kind of middle of the road. Very on par with games like Fallout series, so it's fine. So it's mid tier there. The other combat system slash travel system that really messed with me personally was the space battle and space battle and space travel, where you got in your ship. And I'm not one to get motion sickness by any means. Like I love roller coasters, driving fast. I do not get motion sickness very very easily at all. It takes a lot to get me there. This game was probably the first one in a long time that got me to that point where I was like, okay, I was staring at the screen maybe a little too hard, a little too long. I don't know. It was the first time doing space battle, and it just kind of hit me up. Ooh, not feeling the greatest. Feel a little nauseous, and it's just because of how quick your display that you're looking at for your ship just moves and rotates and pivots, and it makes for a sensory overload to a degree. Again, my opinion. But it's also a common running thing that I'm seeing through a lot of reviews. So yeah, there's that. And then the space battle itself was kind of tricky to get a hang of, and even when you got a hang of it, the locking system, again for me, was pressing the E button, E for echo or echo for E, whatever, where I could lock onto an enemy and I could shoot at them, but even with the lock on missiles and the lock on system, it wasn't always truly locked on. It would shoot right past them, and you could tell like the ship wasn't moving. Minor little details like that. But overall, the space combat, the space battles was far more engaging, even with like the possibility of getting motion sickness to a degree. It was more appealing and more enticing to do than on ground battle. So I'd honestly rate the space battle not much higher, probably like a 6 or 7 out of 10. But still, it was a lot of fun doing that, and you got to loot their spaceship as well. You have to be very careful because you took damage from nearly everything. Speaking of your spaceship, though, you could alter where the power was going. You can alter it to increase any one of your 3 weapon systems by pulling power from, say, your shields or your engine, or a different weapon system. So it made it very interesting for your battles, where if you wanted to focus on battle, you could basically strip everything from your engine and just kind of sit there or coast very slowly and put everything into your weapon systems where they were more powerful and they regenerated quicker if you wanted to. Or you could be, just outrunning them. Space Battle offered a lot more to it than on the ground battle, which again, on the ground battle hasn't really altered too much in a very, very long time, in any game, really, from that perspective. So, overall, the combat system, whether space or on the ground, I preferred space battles. Clearly, on the ground battles, I didn't really care for too much. But either which way, collectively, I would give it a solid 6, maybe a 6.5. Really enjoyable at that point. And then you had the travel system where even if you were on the ground or you were in the sky or space, if you were on the ground, the travel system very much plays just like any other Bethesda game would, is your weight limit, not you being fat or skinny, but the weight of shit you're carrying around in your backpack, or in your storage container. In Starfield, you could fast travel to your ship, but if you weren't too heavy, if you didn't have too much crap in your backpack, and your partners, your partners in the game that you brought along with you would literally tell you, hey, maybe not pick up too much of the shit and only keep the important stuff, drop all the useless stuff. So they help you out with that. So it's interesting from the perspective of you finally have somebody who's able to basically tell you, empty out your shit, you don't need it. There's gonna be a lot of good loot here. And other times, if you're on like a deserted planet or desert location, they won't say anything. So it's kind of helpful in that degree if you're paying really close attention for it. Um, then you have your space travel itself. You could quickly, whether you've been to the planet or not, you could fast travel to any solar system, any fast travel, any galaxy, really quick, and then choose your planet. And some planets are desolate. Some planets are very resourceful. Sometimes you're just going to the moons or the satellites of the planets. Sometimes you're just going to a space station outside the planet, which space stations are not difficult to dock at, but for me, they were a pain in the ass because I would be docking right where it tells me to, and my dock button wouldn't come anywhere on screen for allowing me to dock properly. But if I flew like a few meters above the space station and just looked at the docking station, at that point it would be like, oh yeah, you can dock here, perfect, you can dock here easily. Um, but it wasn't bad. It definitely brought an interesting perspective to the traveling, and I did enjoy being able to just travel to all these planets instantly rather than having to spend time manually flying my ship to that location. So definitely a huge plus there. So I got nothing bad really to say about that. Other than not even other, there is a report that you can go out and somebody did fly all the way out to Pluto from Earth in the Milky Way, and it took him legitimately hours. He streamed it, and it took him hours upon hours to actually fly that distance in a spaceship. So it's funny things like that. But interesting that you don't have to travel like in Fallout or Elder Scroll, where you had to travel to the location to be able to fast travel or to expedite travel there. So very, very interesting. I love that aspect of it. So perfect, spot on with that. On top of that, and just the planetary system in general, the fact that they allowed you to scan and see what resources there was, so you can get down and you can search the planet for those resources. Amazing, huge bonus. Again, nothing you have to discover, nothing you have to find out the hard way. Is just right there from the get go. So that was perfect. Uh, my biggest pet peeve with this game, and I've talked to Rago about this during our live streams on Thursday, and even us shooting the shit on other nights, is the biggest pet peeve for me is this game is so methodically slow. And I'm talking so fucking god awful slow. Ridiculous. And that's kind of the consensus from everyone as well, as this game moves and progresses very, very slowly at a very slow rate. And sure, you can like skip the dialogue, you can skip the cutscenes, some of them you can skip. It's just it doesn't progress fast enough, and even the storyline, the story missions. Like there's one early on where the first thing I did was straight to the story. I stuck to the story the whole time so I can finish it, and I I think I leveled up to like level 4 or whatever. I was instantly on a mission, dropped in the plant that they told me to, so I was ready for, and sure shit enough, it's all level 8 enemies inside of it, making it damn near impossible to fight them all off. It took me, I think, 3 or 4 tries, maybe even more. I died a few times during that. So it was tricky and very difficult with that. But like I get why they did it, but it was a very pivotal moment in the storyline early on for them to just kind of be like, well, we're gonna fuck you over type thing. So that annoyed me. But the pace of the game itself is so slow, and it doesn't seem like there was much effort put into it. It was kind of like they're gonna spin this out and draw out as long as possible. Just wasn't a big fan of it. It is one of those games that, if you're familiar with Fallout and Elder Scrolls, is one of those games like your actions have consequences. Whether it comes to the factions slash clans, we're gonna call them factions, inside the game. If you go out and hunt a certain clan, it may piss off one of your crewmates, or it may help, like, it makes one of your crewmates very happy. There we go. Um, So it's very like you have to ride that line very carefully. But one bad action can ruin your relationship to a crewmate, causing him to just leave. But is also another action could cause a brand new crew member that you never had address you and then say, "Hey, I want to join your crew," and you do it, but you have to pay them, and that's the interesting perspective that you have to be very careful about like your monetary gains in this game. And speaking of which, like when you're creating your character, you have all these backstories, all these traits and everything, attributes, and there's an interesting background where you can say like you own a very upscale property, but just know you have to pay $2,275 dollars or whatever the currency is every week. And I was like, oh, that's cool. That's interesting. Let me do that one. And then there's one like you used to live with your mom and dad. Now you're trying to pay them back. You must pay them X dollars a week too. And they legitimately take money out every week. So it was interesting to random just fucking lose money. Um, the money aspect of the game is very simple. Get a bunch of shit, sell it, done. There's currently a glitch very similar to, I believe it's Fallout, where you can just go to the edge of the map, sneak, and you have to be very careful about it. You can sneak under the map and find the cache for everyone that sells there, for all the traders and merchants, and you can just loot that free. So now you have all their stuff. So glitches like that are very interesting. I think I was able to pull off once from watching a YouTube tutorial, and it was fun. It was cool. I like those type of glitches that they're put in the game as of right now, and no one's really stopping it because it's very synonymous with Bethesda games. But other than that, overall the game is enjoyable. You have to be okay with a methodical, slow-paced story, and you have to be willing to kind of devote your attention to it for a while too. The world they've created in this, the planetary system they created in it, the satellites, the moons, all that is amazing. It's phenomenal looking. So graphically speaking, it's great. I love it. I had no issues. Depending on PC, of course, you can change your graphic settings. I had mine maxed out, and it looked phenomenal. But it also still looked good at like mid-tier graphics, meaning like average is what my PC has them set at by default. So either which way, it looked really good. It ran beautifully on my computer. I loved it. I do have the latest AMD setup, so just or components in my computer in case anybody's wondering. Uh, but it runs perfectly. It looks perfect for me, anyways. It definitely fits their Elder Scrolls Fallout, but space edition, of course. Other than that, if you're not used to that type of slow storyline, like Fallout has a very slow storyline for me. I think and I believe Starfield has a much slower pace than Fallout series, including New Vegas. I think Starfield's just it moves a lot slower. It's a lot more methodical about that. Like you have to be very careful about your choices and your actions and where you go, what missions you do, how you interact with all that. So definitely, again, for me, it's slow. Overall, do would I recommend this game? Yes and no. If you have Xbox or PC, which you have to play this game, I would recommend this game in the concept of purchase Game Pass, Xbox Game Pass, and pay nine ninety nine or $18, whichever. Okay, that's American, so that's US. Um, However much it is, just buy the Game Pass for a month and play this game for a month and decide if you like it. If you do, just keep the pass. Do I think it's worth $70 though? No chance in hell. No. Wait till Christmas comes around or wait till the holiday season comes around and get this on sale because I guarantee you this game's gonna go 50% off sometime during the holidays. And even then, I I I have a hard time saying the game is worth more than $40. Being half off would be 35 after tax, closer to 40. Um, but it is a good game. It will keep you busy. There's millions of playthroughs you can do. It will keep you engaged all the way. But you just have to understand and go with the mindset that it's a very, very slow paced game. It's very easy to get distracted with side missions. and side quests and just running around, which is very much like Bethesda does. Is it's easy to get distracted with all the extra shit and forget about the main story, main quest. On top of that, also understand that it's going to become, if it's not already, mod heavy. Uh, Bethesda really milks that for like games like Skyrim and even Fallout 4 and New Vegas. They're very mod heavy, meaning there's tons of these mods out there that can alter the game's perspective or the way the game plays, it's handled. It changes everything. And unfortunately, it does come off as a general issue for most gamers is I should be able to play a game that is at least semi finished. Like you should have the gist of it finished, but in reality, because they're weighing so much into the mods, stepping up, it doesn't feel like a finished game. Doesn't even feel like a fully finished game. It feels like it should be maybe in beta still at this point. Again, my opinion, but that's the consensus of even the reviews I'm reading every day about this and staying up to date. So I don't recommend buying this game at full retail value. Just do the Game Pass for a month or two, and even then you're out you're out $20, maybe $36. Um, if you do that, but at least with Game Pass you get access to everything on there. It's not just this game, and there's plenty of new games coming out to Game Pass that will make it worth your while. $9.99 a month if you're with PC only. Do the $9.99 if you have an Xbox. You gotta go with the 18, unfortunately. Just where you can play online. Definitely recommend it that way. I don't recommend paying for it full value yet. Wait till it goes on sale. It'll be worth it at that point. Maybe we'll see how the updates and everything go about. But a lot of the reviews are very it's about a 50-50 review. Half the people just don't like it for legitimate reasons, and then there's your diehard fans of Bethesda who absolutely love it, but they don't have any like legitimate backing to it other than just saying, if you like for one, like this review that was literally just posted a few hours ago said if you're a big fan and you love Fallout 4, Outer Worlds, or even games like Outriders, those last two are not Bethesda, then this game is right up your alley. Great game, highly recommend it. But that's not a fair comparison between those four games at all. They don't play the same, they don't act the same, the stories aren't the same. So then you're talking about, especially like Outriders, which is heavily based to be like Destiny 2, where you should be playing with other people and not solo. Starfield can be played either which way, but is designed for story modes where you can play by yourself. So, but kind of the consensus of this is, people are saying I'm 20 hours into the game, I'm still bored playing this game, and I cannot play this game anymore. Then you have people who are saying this is amazing exploration and the space concept is madness, and it's true. The space aspect of this and the exploration is freaking gnarly and amazing, but they're relying way too much on that aspect of the game. It is a slow burn, like this one review says. It's definitely a very slow burning game. You have to stick with it. Deviated from main quests early on, but loads of side stuff to do. Brilliantly done. I would agree, except for that last part. Um, you have weird people who are like, "This is the best game ever." No, it's not. It's not even close. Um, this is an average game. That tends to be the consensus that goes around. This is an average game. The hype around it is not deserved. Is not warranted. Um, Honestly, probably got the hype after the Sony Microsoft conflict in court. It's not Sony, it's the FTC and Microsoft in court that came out that Sony did do devious things to prevent Xbox from gaining certain games or gaining exclusives, and Microsoft only bought Bethesda to prevent Starfield from being a PlayStation exclusive. Hence why it's not a PlayStation now, because it's an Xbox exclusive. But it's not it's not an amazing game. It's not a great game. It's a decent game. I would put it more on the good side. I'd say it's a good game. And out of like overall game, out of 10 stars, I'd give it maybe like a 7. Honestly, maybe like a 6, 6.5, that range, 6 to 7. It's not amazing. I again, if you are into Fallout or Skyrim and you love those type of methodical games that there's just a lot to do, an infinite amount to do, and you can stick with it, absolutely. But it's just it's the endings. I mean, they don't offer a lot for the endings. It is a very slow game. The soundtrack is one thing that a lot of people are like, it's not great, which I don't pay attention to the soundtrack. I hardly listen to the soundtrack, so it's just me. Um, the weight system in it is very annoying. I would compare this game more to No Man's Sky if you played that, which I love No Man's Sky. I thought that was really fun. Um, then you have other reviews. For example, it says no matter how many hours you dump into this game, it's a mess and it's very bland. Modders have the hardest job to make this worthy of this one. And again, very like repetitive message that's sent through is modders, the people that mod the game, which do not work for Bethesda. These are third party and just random people as well who mod the game, and they're making it better for Bethesda. And Bethesda really don't spend a lot of work, and that's kind of like shitty on their part. Like that's bullshit that they can rely so much on the modders. Um, some call it a extremely boring and failed Fallout simulator. The optimization on it for PC and it's just not great, so you have to kind of keep that in mind. Um, but yeah, it's overall kind of the consensus and the average rating of this game is only like 3.3, I think. Yeah, so Common Sense Media, which is one like you can just go on Google, it's one of the top ones. Um, Overall, according to Google, anyways, is the consensus is this game is 3.3 out of 5 stars. It has 13,000 ratings right now within a week. So again, do with that information as you want. This is all a grain of salt type thing. And depending upon like what platform you're on, where you go search website, the ratings drastically different at all. Like on Steam, it has an 88% acceptance rating, meaning of everybody that's played it, 88% of people have rated this game 4 stars or higher, which again is not a great system. Um, I'm gonna check, see if that's been updated right now. That was as of Sunday, so this is Monday when we're recording. So okay, so since Sunday, last I checked this, it was at 88%, still mostly positive reviews on Steam. That actually dropped down to 77% in 1 day's time. It dropped down to 77. It's still deemed mostly positive because, of course, anything above 50 is it's mostly positive for them. That's kind of how Steam works. Take that all with a grain of salt because I would say Steam and Xbox, all those rating systems are very finicky. There's a lot of theories out there, conspiracy theories saying they're padded and all that. So again, take it with a grain of salt. I would just again recommend not buying this at full value. If you want to play this game, do it so via Game Pass on Xbox or PC. Don't pay $70 for this, and for the love of God, don't buy the premium edition at $100. Yes, you get cooler equipment, but it's not fucking worth $100 by any means. So I know this episode probably sounds like a bunch of rambling. I apologize for it. My head's all over the place with this. There's a lot to do. There's a lot to see with this game. It's just it's a letdown for me. I like the game, but it's so hard to give this game any true overwhelming positive reaction when at best it's an average game or a slightly above average game. Lots of potential, but Bethesda's weighing too much or relying way too much on the modders and external people to finish the games. So again, grain of salt. I do recommend at least trying it out. Again, Game Pass. Please don't pay $70 for this game. Do it via Game Pass or go over to a buddy's house or borrow a buddy's Xbox, whatever it means. But don't pay $70 for this. Storyline is great. Bethesda always has very compelling storylines. So I do like the storyline. It does make a lot of sense. You just again very slow and methodical. So But with that said, I'm sure we'll talk a little bit more about this too on another episode where Roggle's involved. Just want to do a quick review of this overall gameplay and the overall game itself. Again, I give it anywhere between like a 6 and 7. It's not an amazing game. The hype is not warranted. I think there's a lot of outside sources that made the hype as big as it did. I think the lawsuit had something to do with it. But I'm not sold on this, and we'll see. Give it a month's time. Give it till holiday season. That's kind of when a lot of changes will come out. A lot of DLCs, patches, updates, and all that. So we'll have to kind of stay tuned and see. Again, this is only after a week of gameplay and me playing it. I've beaten the story. Don't buy the premium. It's not worth the $30 extra, in my opinion. But again, this is all my opinion and the consensus of others on multiple platforms, whether it's on the Xbox platform, whether it's on Steam, whether it's on Google or any other external sites. It's all kind of the consensus is barely above middle of the road. So I hope you enjoyed this episode, and if you did, comment down below or make sure you add the podcast to your playlist so you can stay up to date with all the upcoming episodes. And we will have another episode where it's just me again for another game review, and it will be the game review is going to be about Mortal Kombat 1, which comes out September 19th, so a week from tomorrow. And I will be playing it effectively first thing this Thursday because I have early access. So without further ado, thank you so much for tuning in and listening. Go check out the merch store on our website. Until next time, everyone, take care, stay safe, and we'll see you on the next episode. Till then.